But HikeStrong...
It's a tough one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Fieldborn Creative. I mean, that's the name of our company, right? Let's start that again. You gotta work out the bugs.
That's just so good about this, man.
Dude, it's like the Monday-est Mondays that's ever been a Monday today.
Welcome to the HikeStrong Podcast. My name is Marcus Shapiro. I am a hiking strength and conditioning coach, and I want to thank all of you for checking it out. So a quick reminder to all you hikers out there, we are building an app to help you crush any hiking trail anywhere in the world, and you can train for it wherever you live. You can head over to HikeStrongApp.com to find out more. Now, on this podcast, the usual format is a deep dive with clients into their training and how it shaped their experience. Today's conversation's a little different. I'll be speaking with Dan Holz. So long before anyone ever trains for a hike, something else usually happens first. An image or a story plants an idea of an adventure often well before a plan is made or a trip is booked with a tour operator. That's often the result of the work Dan does, along with others in the industry, shaping how people imagine themselves in the outdoors through photography and film. So this conversation actually came together during a chat with Celeste. She's the founder of Hike Expo, which is hosting its inaugural event in Colorado this May. I told her I wanted to meet some interesting people who'd be there, and that's how we ended up here. So with Dan's background from the retail floor at REI to years inside Osprey, to building his own creative voice as a photographer and filmmaker, it felt worth stepping back and exploring how this experience shaped the way he tells stories today. So, what's in this for you as the listener? So, there's a lot to explore here. There's stories behind brands you already know, some behind-the-scenes moments, and probably a few good anecdotes along the way. So, let's see where this conversation takes us. Dan, welcome to the HikeStrong Podcast and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Marcus. Thanks so much, man. It's great to be here.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk to you. Like I said, a definite departure here. We're not going to talk a lot of training, but there's so much more to the outdoors than training. And we're going to look at a completely different perspective. And so I think it'll be fun. But before we jump in, I do want to give a quick shout out to Hike Expo because everyone listening still has time to plan to attend the event in Denver, Colorado on May 15th and 16th. And you can get more info at HikeExpoColorado.com. And I'm hoping to get Celeste, the founder of Hike Expo, on the podcast at some point to share the origin story, because this really is the first event of its kind in the hiking industry. For years, hiking has been folded into larger outdoor shows, mixed in with climbing, paddling, snow sports, and lifestyle brands. But Hike Expo is built entirely around hiking, bringing gear and clothing brands, retail buyers, tour operators that plan hikes domestically and all over the world, and hikers together in one place at the same time. It'll also be a chance for me to talk about getting in shape to enjoy and tackle any trail and introduce the HikeStrong app. Dan will be there connecting with brands about his work, and it'll also be the first time we actually get to meet in person. So before we get into really some fun topics, Dan, tell us about your company, Fieldborn Creative, and what you're hoping to get out of being at Hike Expo.
Yeah. First of all, real excited to get to Hike Expo. Like you said, it's the first one, and it's going to be a super cool event. Different than a lot of trade show. I'm sure that you've attended as well. So this will be a really, really cool experience, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person too, man. So Fieldborn Creative, it's founded by my longtime creative partner, Corey Iverson, and myself. And what we do is we create stories via photo and video for outdoor brands or outdoor adjacent brands. Any companies and organizations that really want that outdoor look and feel in a very authentic way. We've been doing it for a couple of decades now, so we feel pretty solid in our outdoor storytelling, and we do our best to kind of just shoot all over the world for really cool clients. And yeah, really looking forward to getting a Hike Expo. It's going to be a super cool event. Looking forward to not only connecting with new brands, but I love to hear, since it's opened up to the public, I'd really love to hear just kind of like boots on the ground, what people are consuming as far as what they're watching, what they're really getting into, and also just hearing really cool stories from people that are going on really cool adventures. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic event, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think the synergy is going to be very unique. No question about it. Looking at Fieldborn Creative, it's this natural convergence of 8 years spent on the retail floor at REI, 7+ years inside Osprey, and more than 20 years working independently as a photographer and a filmmaker at the same time. And honestly, encourage listeners to spend just a minute on fieldborncreative.com site and watch the video loop on the homepage. It's amazing. In about 30 seconds, you get this powerful sense of people and wildlife in the outdoors, from sweeping drone shots to tight, intimate moments, to following a mountain biker flying down a trail or an ice climber from angles that feel like you're like right there with them. Like it's stunning. It is so cool. And I think after this conversation, people will go there and watch that work with a completely different appreciation, having gotten to know the person behind the camera a bit better. So, any thoughts on that or comments on that video, that loop? It's just amazing.
Yeah, thanks, man. That was a kind of a combination of several different shoots that we put together. We'll throw one of those reels together about every 6 to 12 months on some work that we've done. But a couple of those shots are from really fun trips that we've went on, and really cool expeditions just on like multi-day climbing trips in Wyoming. And then some of it was actually shot where you can see my house from the peak. So right here in Leavenworth, Washington. So we're lucky enough to be situated in a really special part of the country, with a pretty amazing backyard with amazing hiking trails and world-class peaks and climbing and rafting. So we're actually able to shoot a lot right here, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's really cool. So I take it you invite brands out to your region of the world, or you'll go where they want to go? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, you know what they say, man, own your own backyard, right? So what we try to do is, if we're able to shoot locally, we're not only bringing down the overall production cost, because so much is eaten up by airfare and rental cars and hotels. And, you know, that could be up to like 40 to 60% of a budget of a production. So if you're already situated in a place where you have access to all the outdoor locations necessary, you're able to actually cut down on that spend. It's a lot greener. Your carbon footprint's going to be a lot lighter. And then you're working with people that know all the little nooks and crannies and all the secret spots to be able to go shoot, explore. So we try to focus on shooting here in Washington State as much as possible. My partner, Corey, he is based in Sonoma, so equally amazing area, and he has access right there to the Sierra. So those are the two spots that we mostly focus on. But I mean, we shoot all over the world. So but it's nice to cut down on travel when I can. I've got 2 kids. Yeah. They like when I'm around. I like when I'm around, you know?
Yeah, I saw your last Instagram post with the kids. You were like striking a pose, and the family or the kids were there. Looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about Corey. I don't. Yeah. Corey was not supposed to tell you. I reached out to him.
Oh, you did?
And I said, I want you to write a little paragraph about Dan. So I'll read that to you in a moment. But tell me about.
Tell me, and I had 2 different meetings with him today.
Nice, good for him. Good man, very trustworthy. So just tell me about Corey real quick. Just kind of,
gosh,
I don't know how you guys met and worked together, and why the 2 of you makes a difference. Why not just you? Like, what kind of synergy do you guys have?
Man,
you know?
Like Corey, I'll just say, is like one of the such an easygoing guy, unflappable, solid outdoor athlete. I mean, the guy just crushes, whether he's climbing or running, hitting the trail. So it's a lot of me trying to keep up with him. But we actually met it's over 15 years ago now, on a trip in Thailand, on a climbing trip. I was there with my wife at the time, and this guy came up and walked under the crag and was like, "Hey, what are you guys working on over here?" And offered him a rope. He hopped on and we started chatting. Turned out he was a photographer as well. And we ended up becoming best buds and have worked together for years around the world ever since. So it's just like this real natural, I don't know, we play off each other very well. And when you're in a production and you're jet lagged and you've been working for 10, 12 hours a day and your brain starts shutting down, I could always look at Corey and be like, dude, I need an extra set of eyes over here. Give me an idea. And he'll have like 3. It's just like a machine. It's so great. And I like to know I hopefully do the same thing for him. But we just work together seamlessly. And I work with a lot of different photographers and filmmakers and have over the years, but it's never quite the same as when I work with Corey. So hence why we started Fieldborn together. We figured it was about damn time we did it.
Yeah, that's cool. It almost is like a sports analogy in a way. Like, in football, for example, now because the playoffs are happening and, rats that Alabama and Georgia went down. But I know a lot of people are happy about that, which, by the way, Washington, we got your coach from out there in Washington.
Oh, I didn't know that.
DeBoer. I don't even know I don't know if you're into that thing or not, but
I'm not much of a football guy, but yeah,
it's fine. All right,
I believe you, Marcus.
Anyway, kind of this analogy, like, not everybody's. It's really hard in a team sport where everybody's just clicking, at the same rate. When somebody's performing poorly, the other guy has to back them up. Maybe play their best game when the quarterback's not doing so good or whatever. So
yeah.
So it sounds like you have that team approach. And it seems like if I'm a brand listening, I'm thinking to myself, well, if we hire these guys, we're gonna get some good production here. One way or the other. One guy's on, the other's not. And we're really lucky if both are on,
Yeah. Usually more often than not, we set ourselves up for success. So we're both on all the time. We've learned a lot of lessons over the years. So, we know to get places early, get places, scout often, scout accurately, work smarter, not harder, all that good stuff.
All right. Well, here's what Corey said about you.
Oh boy.
All right. Dan is a gritty, dirt under your nails outdoorsman who, despite dressing well, is absolutely living the wild, adventurous life that's depicted in his work. It's that lived experience in the field that makes his outdoor and adventure work so singular and recognizable. He is and has been the guy stuck in an ice cave playing solitaire with soggy cards, leading a group of hikers through the rain with a ruckus sea shanty, or fly fishing off a paddleboard with a beer in one hand. You can't fake what Dan does. If you want it raw, real, and beautiful, he's the guy.
Wow. Corey.
Yeah, man.
He's a total gem. He really is, man.
You guys are lucky to work together. That's awesome.
Yeah, I really feel fortunate having him as a partner.
And there's some questions that I asked him that I should ask you, which we'll get to more towards the end. But there's really some cool stuff that I want to get to.
Nice. Okay.
So we'll get to more Fieldborn Creative and your experiences with REI and Osprey. But I first want to run a thought experiment by you because you're a storyteller and I know you can make either of these into a compelling cinematic experience, okay? So imagine 2 people heading to Kilimanjaro, okay? The first is a cautionary tale. They sat most of the day at work, exercised infrequently, and assumed they'd figure it out on the mountain. They arrive underprepared, struggle early, stress the guides out, and eventually, through sheer grit and a lot of support, made it to the summit, but barely. Okay? Now, the second is an aspirational story. The person trained consistently. They built strength and endurance over time, showed up prepared, and understood the demands of the mountain. The climb is still hard. Nothing about Kilimanjaro is easy, but with just a bit of encouragement from the guides, they move steadily and they reach the summit fully present. So both people summited, same mountain, same outcome. So from a storytelling perspective, what's the real difference between those two stories?
If I had my choice of which I had to shoot, I'd probably shoot the first one because of the amount of adversity involved. It's going to be a comedy. It's what that's going to turn into because the holy crap moments, why are we doing this, are going to be very real. And you're going to show people that are like on the struggle bus, right? Which honestly is kind of compelling to watch. More often than not, though, we are shooting the latter. So we are shooting people that are like on the top of their game. They're ready to rock. They're going to get up there. It maybe could turn into a competition between, if it's a party two and they're heading up there could be just like, there could be witty banter the whole way. People from will be easier to shoot with because they're going to be fresh and ready to go. So at 4 a.m. when you're knocking on their tent, they're not like, oh my God, I can't move. It's like, yeah, all right, man, way ahead of you. I already had coffee. So those are the people I prefer to shoot with, I would say.
So here's the question.
Yeah.
Is the struggle alone enough to make the story compelling, or does preparation change how struggle reads on the screen?
Kind of depends. Are we shooting a documentary or are we doing a commercial shoot at this point, right? If you're going documentary, you're fly on the wall. You're not really coaching anybody through anything. So you're just watching the suffering unfold. Whereas, or watching the success unfold, either way. But if you're doing, let's say this was a commercial shoot, either one of them, gosh, I don't know.
It depends on the brand, right?
Yeah, so I don't know any brands that would want the first one.
Okay, that's interesting.
Most brands want approachable. They want casual. They want something that's going to be like, hey, that's me up there. They don't always want world-class athletes, like, unless you're showing something completely aspirational, right? Like, but I think that, most brands are going to want to show like, someone that is trained, that is fit, that is ready to go and is prepared for uncertain weather, technical terrain, etc. However, like, I think there's also, I'm trying to think of a way to say this delicately, but like, there's also like what is perceived as being fit and ready for something visually versus someone that might not look like they could do it, but you know what? They're going to do it and they're going to get up there and they're going to put their all into it. And maybe they did train, but maybe they don't look the part. And I think that's something that should be celebrated as well. So it's really nuanced, right? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I didn't know where you were going to take this, but that's why I asked. The reason why I asked is because the adventure travel is about a 50-year-old industry, and no one's interrupted the cycle in a significant way to elevate the readiness for iconic hikes. There's still like 30 to 50% of people showing up on trips that could have been physically prepared better.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people confuse suffering with accomplishment, but barely getting through something doesn't automatically make it meaningful. When preparation is missing, I think the story becomes about survival, but when preparation is intentional, the story becomes about presence. And those two are like very different experiences. So,
that I'm thinking back to when I was 17 years old. I went on an outward bound course, 2 weeks out in San Juan's, Colorado. I did not train a lick for that thing. I was 17. I was unbeatable. I was in the best shape of my life. So I thought, and I was at elevation at 10, 11,000 feet for 2 straight weeks. I thought I was going to die, man. I was in the back of the pack the whole time. And if I would have trained for that, I would have gotten so much more out of that trip. I mean, it still was transformative, and it's probably the reason why I still work in the outdoor industry, is that one experience. but I would have dug it a whole lot more if I just went running every once in a while. I was a kid from New Jersey going to Colorado,
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect.
Fish out of water
So
there.
there's so much to be said about the training. But I also had a climbing mentor when I was halfway up Rainier, one of the few times that we've done it. And I was like, Human, tell me about how you train. He goes, well, this is training right now. It's like being on the mountain for him was the training.
Was
And
that
he's
the
like,
guide?
yeah, well, yeah, he was a Himalayan guide.
Oh, he has muscle memory. That guy's
He does, man.
He's solid.
He climbed all over the Himalaya and he's
Oh, yeah.
just like, this is the training. I'm
Yeah,
like, I am dying.
Yeah, I mean, I find with experience, once you have more experience, like when I now have to train for something,
Mm-hmm.
I find that I don't train the same as I used to. I
Mhm.
used to be able to I used to spread out throughout the week my training, but now I can do what I call milestone challenges, once a week. I mean, it's got to be a really challenging hike. It's got to
Mhm.
be a lot of elevation gain, more
Mhm.
importantly than distance, but perhaps both.
Sure.
Whereas before, I had to build a base, right? Build a base, then hit some milestone challenges, go on the trip. But now I've got a good base. I can just hit some milestone challenges. I've got muscle memory and I can go. Now,
And just go.
it's all relative, but so that's
Yeah.
why that guy. And that's for the listener. I mean, that's what experience will do for you. So for example, pick some iconic hikes and train for them. And the more you do that, the more confident you're going to get. And the more bucket list, challenging bucket list hikes you'll be able to add to your,
Right.
to your repertoire,
And you'll actually enjoy them.
Yeah. And so here's
Suffering on
the
it.
question for the listeners. Okay. So when you think about your next big hike, which story are you going to write? Is it the one built on hoping you'll get through it or the one built on preparing so that you can actually be present for it? So that's the question. But so that was fun. So let's shift gears here.
Sure.
All right. So before we discuss Osprey and
Mhm.
REI brands that you worked with for a combined 16 years.
Yeah.
Can you give us an example of how you got gigs with any of these other brands that are listed on your LinkedIn page, like Adidas or National Geographic or Patagonia?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So much of it, it's just who you know, really. It's about just getting out there and making connections. And as much as I do so digitally, via LinkedIn, that's been very, very helpful. I mean, that's how I met Celeste to go to the Hike Expo, and that's why I'm chatting with you, right? It's an amazing way to network. I don't think anything really replaces those in-person events. It's like you connect with one person that's going to you really jive with, and they're going to connect you to more people. And it's just being present in the industry is really what helped me succeed in what I do. So that has been by far the best. And, working also when I was in house, I know we're going to get to this, but when I was working for Osprey, running their photo video department, I was working with brands, all the time. We're like, hey, we've got this shoot coming up. We need this clothing from name the outdoor brand, and cool, we'll throw you guys some packs. You throw some clothing, we'll make sure it ends up in the shoot where it's going to be in our studio. So these are more people that you're meeting along the way and chatting with their marketing directors and creative directors and whatnot. So that was an amazing place to network and just meet more people outside of our little pocket of Southwest Colorado.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So before Fieldborn Creative, you spent 7 years at Osprey.
Yeah.
Directing photo and video for a brand that shaped how hikers carry weight for decades.
Yeah.
So you weren't just shooting content, you were helping define how millions of people saw hiking packs and what it means to move through the outdoors comfortably and confidently. And for a lot of hikers, an Osprey pack is their first serious piece of gear, and it often shapes how they experience the trail, even before that they think about training. So, so my question is, after spending that much time working so closely with packs and product, what did you learn that you think most hikers still overlook, either about gear, fit, or how a pack should actually feel when someone's moving well on the trail?
Wow. Yeah, man. That's it. That's a good one. Pack, I think, is just as important as your footwear, right? Like those are two critical points where if those are not fitting correctly, you could get by with a poor fitting shirt or maybe a jacket that maybe isn't quite fitting you or not quite warm enough or not breathable enough. But man, you got like bad boots or you got a bad pack, that could end your trip. That could make or break you. Um, Osprey specifically, gosh, they make a pack for everything, right? They've been doing this since 1974, I think. And Mike Pfotenhauer, he was the founder, just like this mad scientist, man, like such a cool guy, made amazing packs that didn't necessarily focus on it weight as much as comfort. Because the saying was just like, how much did pain weigh? Right? I'd rather have a pack that weighed maybe 3 or 4 ounces more, but carried better than like an ultralight pack that is just like a tube with a couple straps on it just because I'm saving weight. Man, no way. I carry way too much on my back once I factor in all my camera gear anyway. So I've got like a full kit for the backcountry on top of like lenses and tripods and sliders and whatever else you're going to be bringing with you. So that could be like an additional 20, 25 pounds. So I'm going with something with suspension. Now, finding a pack that fits is just, everyone's going to have a brand that works better for them. I mean, obviously I'm biased towards Osprey because they're friends, but they seem to just do a really good job of fine tuning for different body types and different torso lengths and then different activities within that. And they're not the heaviest, they're not the lightest, and I think they're one of the best fitting. They've really done a great job. The whole design team, like most of them are based over in Vietnam where everything is coming off the assembly line. So they're like in tune with it as it happens. They're able to make adjustments and changes on the fly if something comes off the production line incorrectly when samples happen. So they're able to really fine tune as much as they can before a product actually launches. And I thought that was pretty cool. It was really neat to kind of like see how the sausage is made, and like work in house and like get like one-on-ones with all the designers and that whole team and with Mike. And yeah, it's just really cool. It's a cool brand.
Also, the customer service is pretty amazing. So here's a little anecdote. Yeah. Went to Chicago Basin in Colorado. Had my pack sitting outside the tent, and I heard something chomping. I didn't know it was chomping, but when I woke up, it was chomping on my pack.
Sure.
And my Zero shoes totally
you love
destroyed
that
those.
Salt, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was the Marmots, I think is what it was. And I came home, told Osprey, I'm like, look, I don't expect you guys to replace this pack because it wasn't anything about the durability or any kind of issues, from bad design or anything. So I said, but hey, if you could fix it, go for it. And they couldn't fix it, and they said, we're just going to send you a new pack.
Yeah,
that pack was it was about a $330 pack.
Yeah,
they just sent me another one.
Yeah, they will do that. And you know what? That pack that you sent to them is going to be recycled and turned into a new product. So they do everything they could possibly do to keep that pack out of the landfill, which is pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's cool. So how did you end up at Osprey in the first place?
Oh man, the gig came up and I applied. That's all it was. They needed someone that could do photo, video, studio, and lifestyle in the field. And a lot of people will specialize in just one. I was really leaning into, for the first like 10, 15 years of my career, like I guess 10 years, like just photo. And then I worked with a mentor who was like, you got to learn how to shoot in the studio. You got to learn video. Once you piece that together, you're going to be unstoppable. So I did that. And I started shooting and mentoring with him. My buddy Paul used to run the video department for REI. It's a great guy to like mentor studio and video with. And I started kind of getting my chops there and shooting for some brands and figuring out video and then like really dialing in studio lighting, which in turn helps you with lighting when you use that outside. So it was really cool thing to add to the quiver. And then when the job posted, I was like, hi, this is what I do. And they're like, you're hired. That's it. So totally worked out. It didn't hurt that I had a couple friends working there as well, from my old REI days. But yeah, that was just a fantastic brand to be part of. But we really missed the Pacific Northwest. So we're back here in Washington State. So there's still a client and they're amazing people. And yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Well, you've seen thousands of people interact with their packs on shoots and testing in the field. And we kind of touched on this, but are there any other lessons or stories that completely changed how you approach carrying weight on a hike?
Oh man, gosh, we could talk another hour about that. Pack smart, don't bring too much. A lot of people will, if you have a pack that might be a little bit big for what you would normally be doing, but you're like, I'm going to bring it anyway, you might have a tendency to kind of overfill it because you could still have the room. Just don't do that. Just, stick to your 10 essentials, bring what you need. And like, unless you want some training weight, then go ahead, throw some rocks in your pack and just run, right? But it's, I would say bring what you need for what you're going to be out there, but be prepared for what you bring and just make sure your pack fits you well. Like there is like an art to selecting a pack that fits correctly. So you want to go to a store, you want to try them on in person, preferably at like a smaller mom and pop shop that you could go to and support a small local business and have them walk you through like a proper pack. It might not be an Osprey pack that fits you well. It might be an Arc'teryx. It might be a Deuter, and it's all about just finding that one that fits you well.
Okay. All right. Makes sense. How about a little behind the scenes? So like when you first stepped into the role at Osprey, what surprised you most about working inside a major gear brand versus shooting from the outside?
My role was the first in-house role that they ever hired. So I think and that was my first time working in-house. I'd always contracted with brands and I had contracted with Osprey in the past. So, it was cool to be able to call my previous clients, my coworkers, which was kind of neat. But I think, I think there was a lot of education involved on both sides. So they're learning what a shoot actually costs and how much work is involved in the front end, how much pre-production and to the actual shoot, to the post-production, to what the hell are we going to do with all these assets now that we have so many, right? Because now I'm in-house. All the assets are coming back and they have access to this deep pool now, right? They're like, oh my God, now we have to build out systems and hosting and filing and organizing and like distributing these assets. And then I think once we got like our rolled up our sleeves and really dug into it after like the first year, we both started the company and maybe we really started feeling like, oh, there's a lot of potential for deep storytelling that we could do. Like something that might cost normally $100,000. All we're paying now is expenses and salary. We could go out, fly to Vietnam, fly to South America, create an enormous, deep story, like cool character profiles. And out of that, you're going to be able to get not only your little mini documentary that you made, but you also have like all these video assets and support social, a big photo campaign. And you did that for what is seemingly pennies on the dollar because it was all done in-house, which was pretty great. And you also like have an opportunity to create a look and feel for an entire brand, which was kind of something I wasn't expecting to do. But over the 7.5 years of being there is what it evolved to be. And that was very special. I thought that was a really cool thing. So that core experience, I would say like that time at Osprey is exactly what Corey and I have taken and are applying to our current brand. So that's kind of like the sweet spot of what we do, all those assets that I said we create. And because we know what it's like now to be work in-house, we kind of know all the parts, all the pain points of working for a brand in-house, like production schedules. What do you do when samples are late? Like, well, when's the budget actually going to come out? And then any possible fire that needs to be put out, we get it. We understand. We can speak the language and we can speak directly to that brand, which is pretty cool. Not many creative agencies could say that or do that.
So, I don't know about at Osprey, but I know at least now you're not casting models. You're like working with real hikers, climbers, and athletes. And you're spending time around people operating at that level. And it gives you a different perspective. So tell me what stands out about those athletes. What do you learn about their habits, their mindset, preparation, that show up in people performing, at that high level?
Yeah, it's really humbling to work with some of these athletes. I mean, we do a lot of climbing shoots, right? So working with some of the best climbers in the world that are just so humble and just absolutely crush it out there. And it's just like sometimes like when you're filming them, you're like, I just want to watch. You're just in awe. It's really cool. And working with these professionals, a lot of athletes, they're used to having cameras in front of them all the time, like a model would. Only the difference is I'm not training someone how to be in the field. I'm not training someone how to put on a pack, how to rack draws on their harness correctly, like any number of things that you could possibly think of that has to do with the outdoors. That if you weren't an outdoor person, if you weren't even just a weekend warrior, you're not going to get it. So like these athletes, they show up prepared. They are, a lot of them, like I said, they're basically our models because they have to do stuff for their brands all the time. It's in their contract that they've got to go out on these shoots. So we all get hired to go work together. And a lot of times I end up working with a lot of the same athletes over the years, which is pretty cool. So these are folks that I will call up if it's for another brand. Let's say we did a Adidas shoot or something like that. And we shoot a couple Adidas athletes. And now I'm like, okay, cool. We got the sunglass shoot coming up. I want to work with them again because they're amazing people. We already have a rapport. They look great on camera. They get what it's like to be in the outdoors. And you're not going to, you have someone that's going to enjoy the occasional sufferfest out there. And it's everybody kind of earns it. And it's great. And that's where the authenticity comes in, is you're shooting with people in their environment as they're thriving out there. If I hired a model, I would have from an agency. There are climbers that you could seek out, I'm sure. It's just a lot easier for me to just pull from my current pool of people.
Sore subject here, COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. So during COVID, hiking exploded.
Sure.
Millions of people who'd never considered themselves hikers suddenly needed packs and gear. So from inside Osprey, what did that moment look like?
Yeah, that was interesting. My office was actually in my studio, so I was already pretty isolated. So I was still able to go to work when I needed to. I had like my own little entrance and, so like it, from a work perspective, it was a lot of shooting in-house with employees while distancing. So we would shoot in somebody's yard, for example, be like, hey, walk us through this product. So the demand kept going up and up and up and up. So it was great. We were all like, is everyone going to get laid off? What's going to happen? The sky is falling. To like, oh my God, we're actually selling a lot of stuff. Can we keep up? Well, we still need to create the assets. We're probably just not jumping on planes. Thing is, we were also based in Southwest Colorado, another beautiful part of the country. So I was able to go out and shoot with, again, we mostly just took in-house people like coworkers and go and shoot with them locally. So everyone's driving separately. And so there was a lot of protocol that we had to follow there. But it was, we just weren't shooting. We shot differently. We shot as much. We just shot differently, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, Did you see a shift towards beginners, and did that affect how you thought about storytelling and education? Or
That's not, I mean, I saw obviously we were already in such a remote part of Colorado, right? It was like 8 hours from Denver, middle of nowhere. So the only people hitting the trails were the same people hitting the trails down there. But I know outside urban hubs, yeah, it completely exploded, right? Like every nearby mountain town was overrun with people that are like, I'm losing my mind. I need to get out of the city. I need to hit the trail, which is great. It like fosters, it's like this. If you never go out on a trail before, you're probably not going to care about the outdoors or what happens to it. So I think from a stewardship point, if you get somebody that's never been on a trail and now all of a sudden they get bitten by the hiking bug, they might start volunteering for cleanups. They might learn about LNT. They might actually start, like making efforts to help protect the outdoors. So like, I think as much as I'm like, wow, there's a lot more people at the climbing crag than there used to be, thanks to climbing gyms, it's, hey, that's more people that really give a crap about the outdoors now, which is actually a good thing.
did it put a lot of pressure on Osprey? Did they grow like leaps and bounds at that time?
Yeah,
What did that mean for you and your
they
role?
were already on a fast track. So it's tough to say. I think numbers wise, I'm not really sure what they grew by, but they definitely, they had some delays with product arriving like everybody did. And then I'm not sure, I kind of left towards the end of COVID. So I'm not really sure how it all unfolded after that. We actually left the country at that point, moved to Mexico just for a little reset.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I missed
Okay.
the last year of COVID with Osprey. But I think that, most brands, from what I understand, they sold so much gear, but then they forecasted those same numbers for the following year, which I don't know if that was it's optimistic, but it was a lot of product for people that are like, okay, cool, I don't need to hit the trails much anymore. Like COVID's over, I'm going back to my routine. So yeah, in hindsight, right? It's one of those things.
Yeah, that's I heard that same anecdote about, I forget who I was talking to on a podcast. Oh, um Glenn Van Pesky, I believe. Founder of Gossamer Gear. Goodness
Oh,
gracious.
yes. Okay.
So anyway, I was I think it was Glenn, and Glenn shared that same sentiment. I think he said it, the industry as a whole, they did.
Yeah.
They bought too much had too much inventory, and that was an issue.
Which definitely made a big hiccup. And, we felt that. First thing to get cut are marketing budgets anytime that there's a bit of a ripple or a little,
Yes.
the wind
So
blows the wrong way, it seems. But yeah, it's, it was that, and then it's tariffs, and then it's an election, and then it's tariffs, and like all these things are like a barometer for budgeting, right? And 9 times out of 10, it's never as bad as what they think it's going to be, but a lot of brands just play it pretty safe.
right.
So 2025 was a real interesting year, I would say, from a perspective of like from the tariff thing, right? People are like, it's going to cost everybody a lot more money. So it's going to go up in price. So, there go the marketing budgets. We're not spending a lot of brands. So we had a lot of brands pull the plug on pretty sizable productions as a result. But I think everything's coming back in 2026 and everyone's feeling like, okay, lights are still on for everybody. Let's just make things happen, which is cool. Yeah.
So let's shift gears a bit. So before Osprey and Fieldborn, you spent nearly a decade at REI. You've kind of mentioned that a little bit. So you're working on the retail floor at both Denver and Seattle. You were leading teams.
Denver and Seattle. That's kind of was my before that I was at Eastern Mountain Sports, which I don't know if they're even around anymore, but East Coast, when I lived in New Jersey. And then when I went west, I worked for REI. And great company. I started at the bottom working in the Denver store and like still had so many friends from that experience. And then went to the Seattle store, became a manager and went over there, supervisor over in that flagship store. And man, such good times working with all those people. Like anytime, like if you move from work for an REI and then go work for another REI and you move to a new city, it's almost like you never left. You just have an instant family when you go somewhere else. It was so cool. I mean, that's where I met my wife. She was working in footwear and I was working in climbing. So these are friends that I'm still very tight with to this day from both of those experiences. And it's just really cool. It's what happens when you have so many like-minded people working at the same place.
Mm-hmm.
And you work in like the biggest toy store in the world. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really great.
So what does working that close to customers like day in and day out teach you about hikers that most brands or even experienced outdoor people like never really see?
Mm-hmm. Well, REI, it definitely has a broader customer range, right? So you've got everyone that are like, hey, I just need a really good rain jacket because I live in Seattle and I walk my dog 3 times a day and it rains a lot. To, hey, I'm going to Everest Base Camp and I need you to outfit me, which were always my favorite customers because you just like take them and walk them around the store for an hour, which was really cool. And kind of like live vicariously through whatever adventure they're going on at the time. But you really learn like what's working for people, what brands are working for people. Like you in the pack department, I always loved working there. And you could really, it's a really one-on-one interaction with someone. You're not just like, yes, here are your pants. See you later. It's just like, cool, we're going to find something that fits you. We're going to load it up with 40 pounds. You're going to walk around the store. Tell me about your trip. Tell me exactly what you're doing. And you could really like dial in a really cool experience for them. But you also get like a lot of feedback of what they will be bringing with them, what all their needs are for a trip. So you can apply that to other conversations with customers, which was pretty cool. I also worked at like smaller climbing shops after that, like down the road, and it was a very different clientele where you would be like, hey, I'm going to Pakistan for a couple of weeks. I'm going to need A, B, and C. So it was very different than kind of more of like an intro to the outdoors or like, hey, I just need this for my camping trip was kind of more of the REI vibe, I'd say.
Is there like 1 or 2 gear related mistakes you saw hikers make repeatedly that listeners can fix immediately?
Probably buy more gear than they needed sometimes. Like I'm all about what's the one thing that I could bring with me on a trip that's going to have 3 different uses in the backcountry, right? Like I'm not going to bring a screwdriver and a pocket knife. I'm going to bring a multi-tool. I need something that or like that duct tape is going to be wrapped around my water bottle, so it's saving space. And like anything that you could utilize to save weight and space, I think is really important. And some people would just be like throwing the kitchen sink in because they have so much room in their pack. And eventually those, every ounce or over every mile is going to add up. Especially if they're just starting out and they're not used to like carrying a big heavy pack around. So that's usually a pretty big one. And then like cheaping out on the footwear was also a big one. Like just, like buy once, cry once. It's just because it's imperative to get really good footwear right off the bat. And for some people that might be like just a real good approach shoe. Somebody it's like a proper backpacking boot, right? Everyone's got different needs for that. But go with something that isn't going to support, because it's not just your weight, it's your weight plus a pack. That's a lot of strain on your tendons and bottom of your feet. You're going to get plantar fasciitis potentially. Like all these things could happen. Knees could go out, but like, like proper footwear was always the biggest one. And the older I get, it's funny. I used to just wear trail runners for everything. And now the older I get, I'm like wearing my old man boots out there. Now when I'm almost 50.
So what's the record for like shoe returns? 3, 5, 10?
I don't know.
Because REI is so generous
they wouldn't
with their
let me near
returns.
customer service because I'd be like, why are you returning this? This is still fine. That was the worst. And now as a manager, they're like, can we have a manager to the front? Don't let it be Dan. Don't let it be Dan.
That's hilarious. So what, I'm seriously, like, do you think someone's actually done 10? Someone's had to have done 10
I'm
returns
sure.
or more.
I'm sure there have been. There had to have been. Like, I think people would just walk out with like, I'll try them all out on the trail and bring back what a lot of flagrant abuse of that policy, because it used to just be like anything, any reason, lifetime of the product, bring it back, we'll give you money, we'll get you something else.
When people brought packs back though, okay,
Mhm.
what was like the biggest issue? Why did they bring it back?
Fit. Yeah. And I think that's exactly why, like, the stores that I was in specifically, they really focused on like, hey, it's okay to spend a little extra time with someone to make sure it fits properly. Like, you don't just like, hey, I like this color and bring it to the front and cash out with it, because you might not have the right pack. So they would load it up with sandbags and then like, hey man, go walk around, come back in 10 minutes and we'll touch base and see what works for you. So it's like really worth investing time into that when it comes to a pack fit.
Do you have a favorite shoe you want to share that with?
Oh geez. I'm a big fan of I like Oslo personally, just because it fits my foot real well. For my boots, like kind of a lightweight boot. So if I have like 40-ish pounds on my back, that's what I'm going with. Either they're synthetic or they're full leather. And then Sportivas for my trail runners, mostly.
Okay. So I find this, corroborate this for me. It's just my gut instinct, right? So if you see a list of like top 10 shoes, right?
Yeah.
Or top 10 packs.
Mm-hmm.
Any one of those shoes or any one of those packs could legitimately be somebody's favorite.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
I mean, it's not, there is no best pack. There is no best shoe.
No,
right?
Everyone's going to use them for a different thing. Everyone's got a different use case for it.
So you got to try it on.
And it's like, how much ad space did they buy for that article we written? That's what level they're at top 10. Come on.
Could be.
That's how it works.
Could be.
I mean, it has to be a good product to make the list for sure.
Yeah.
But,
Can I understand the affiliate sales? So the little behind, kind of behind the scenes here. Like when you see those top 10 lists for people listening, it's not a bad thing. I mean, those people have done their work. They've done their research. And those people make money when you buy that gear. And that's nothing wrong with that. Just so that people know, like support those people that write great articles in those top 10 lists. I mean, if you click through and you buy it, they're going to get a small percentage of it. It doesn't cost the person anymore. So anyway, but the best doesn't always mean the best. It's look at it as though they're giving you ideas.
Yes.
Okay? And then go try those ideas. It's just a place to start, right?
It's going to come down to fit. That's really like, it's going to come down to fit. So it's just like, is it durable? Great. Yes, it is. Great. Is it lightweight enough for it to meet the threshold I want? Great. And does it fit? All right. Well, there it is. Those are the three things you should be looking at with a pack.
All right, let's segue into Fieldborn Creative now, and then we'll wrap it up. So when you think about Fieldborn Creative today, what parts of your past, like REI, Osprey, and your years as an independent creator, are just influencing what you guys are doing now? What makes you at the top of your game in the field?
Yeah. I would say absolutely my time at Osprey. Everything that led up to that was, I was learning and I was building a foundation. And I was just, like any other creative in the industry, just putting together the pieces and just seeing how to make it work. But my time at Osprey, I would say like really taught me how to prioritize what a brand needs internally to run all of its campaigns. So what you need to feed the beast, right? What you like, what's going on the web page, what's going on the social channels, what's going on their video channels, what's getting distributed through ad buys, like, and then how to shoot it so it's appropriate for each one of those channels. So like you're going to shoot the same subject 5 different times to fit each different channel. That's something I wouldn't have known about really. It's just like, hey, go out, shoot the thing, come back. And it's just like we were able to really dial in the technical side of what a brand needs. So it allows me to ask the correct questions to figure out what a client needs. And they might not even know. So it allows me to help coach them through that to find that decision out too and find out what they really need. So that's one thing. But also like our asset package now is really curated for what we love to do and what we do well. And that's storytelling. And we like our favorite thing is to come up with a really cool, unique, character-driven story. You get this beautiful little film that you could either distribute, obviously on your website, and you get all these shorts that go along with it. And then you could push it out to a film festival even. But then you get all these really great commercial assets out of it as well. So you get like a load of photos, you get a lot of video clips to take care of all your social feeds, etc. Sizzle reels, anything. And down the road, a lot of those assets are going to go towards other projects that you're probably going to need as well. So we really like to create one big project that then you can leverage for a bunch of different things.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So,
and that's what I learned off.
Well, in that same vein, let's get into a few questions that Corey suggested that I ask you.
Oh, okay.
So how do you create moments that feel authentic and emotional when working with hired talent?
Yeah. So wonderful question. And authenticity is one of those things. I feel it's a bit of an overused word, but it is appropriate, I think, in this case, that one, it's going to come down to hiring the right talent. So the shoot's going to be only as good as the person that you're shooting. You need to be able to put them in an environment where they're comfortable, where they thrive, and where they feel natural and at ease. And like being at ease is working with a lot of the same athletes over time, over years. So you already have a rapport. So that kind of helps get the ball rolling right away. From a technical aspect, when you're designing a shoot, you'd have a certain shot list of scenes that you're going to need to create. So you're going to great, we need belay scenes at this climbing crag, for example. So it's like, great, okay, I'm going to have my climber. I'm just going to let them walk into it and let them do their thing and document it. I'm not going to say, turn your head to the left, pick this up with your right hand, do this, do this. They're just going to do it, and they're going to be so much more at ease. Otherwise, their brain is going to be they're going to go robotic, right? We also don't love putting the product front and center in every single frame. Like it could be here, it could be here. It doesn't need to be the hero. Your brand is the hero, and you're creating a scene that people want to be part of. And that's what you're selling to them. You're not necessarily selling them that widget front and center every single time. That's what the studio is for. Obviously you want to showcase features and you show the product in use, but it's not all about it. So those are kind of like all the formula, and you take all that and you put it together in any particular order. And that's usually what the frames are that you're going to pull out of it.
Okay. Corey, question number 2.
Yes.
Okay? What's the most uncomfortable you've ever been on a shoot?
Oh my God. Gosh. There's a couple that I'm thinking of. I would say there's this trip on Rainier up Liberty Ridge where we were planning on 3 days, and we were up there for 6.5. We just got hammered by this storm all the way up. And I was there with my climbing mentor, woman. This guy's climbed all over the world, right? This guy has been he's used to climb with Alex Lowe and in the Himalaya, summited Everest, put up new routes all over the country. The dude's a legend. And we're just suffering away as this storm is just hitting us. And Liberty Ridge is a lot easier to go up it than to go down it. So for us to try to go down and retreat in the storm wasn't really an option. So we're just open bivvies. That means no tent, wrapped up in sleeping bags. And we are just suffering. My fingers are going numb, my toes stopped feeling those days before that. And I look over at Human as we're in this little overhang, and I'm like, Human, what's the worst bivvy you've been on? And thinking that he's going to tell me like, oh yeah, this time in the Himalaya, we got shut down on Everest, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, Dan, we are on it right now. Look, no, we're going to die. Yeah. That
Wow.
was pretty
Great to be
real.
with a guy like that on the worst day or the worst 6 days. Lucky you, right? I mean, you
Right.
were like, yeah, you must
Character
feel, that
building.
must have elevated your confidence though, really getting through it with that guy.
You know, knowing that I was there with him, I knew we were going to be fine. But man, that was usually we do type 2 adventures. That was ordering type 3 as far as like.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
That was a pretty good one.
All right. Let's go to his question, number 3. So you work in both documentary and commercial space. What connects to the two for you?
Gosh, so many times the line kind of blurs a little bit, right? So if I'm give you an example, I'm working on a project right now for Protect Our Winters. We're doing an actual documentary project, so it's well researched. We're talking to scientists. We're getting dialed into climate action, and we are just sharing a story. Granted, there's a narrative, but we're supporting that with interviews and B-roll, right? And then out of that, you're going to get a documentary. With a commercial project, it's like you got a shot list, you've got product that needs to be shot, you need certain demographic of talent that needs to be in it. You've got all these criteria that you need to create in order to, do the shoot properly. But you could do it in a documentary sort of a way, in the style. And that's where you get into the authenticity of it, right? And that's when you get into storytelling around a trip that this product happens to be on. So that's where it kind of blurs the line a little bit with documentary and commercial. And I think the more AI starts really being part of assets that are being created and content and starts like really filling our feeds, the more of a desire people are going to want that connection and that storytelling that you're going to get from a real documented trip, which is that's exactly what we like to do.
All right. Well, that makes sense. That's probably a good segue into talking about AI.
Yeah.
We're not going to talk specifically about that, but I think as a contrast, if a brand is listening to this and thinking about how to tell more honest stories, what do you hope they understand about Fieldborn's approach?
We've been doing it the same way for years as far as storytelling, because it works. Like people have been sitting around the fire telling stories for years, right? Like people love a good story. And I think if you're a brand that understands their own story and is kind of building that fire for other people to gather around, utilizing a company like ours, like Fieldborn, is a wonderful asset because we could help voice your story to make that happen and make that a reality. So, and we do that just by staying true to the outdoors. As far as like, I'm trying to think of a way to like not bash other companies. Like I see some really bad stuff or some big agencies out there. At the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe they put that bike on that car. And something like that would really like make your blood boil as an outdoors person. But like, it's important. It's important to get those facts right. It's like, you don't want to, as soon as you don't stay true to your customer and your fan base, you're going to lose their trust. So that's why we work with a lot of the same brands over and over again, and they keep coming back. It's like, oh, they get it.
Well, you bring up something earlier. You said working with outdoor brands and adjacent.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that by adjacent, you mean like it might be a car company,
right?
But you're filming in the outdoors. That's what you talk about,
yes.
The bike
yeah,
going
exactly.
on, like you would know how to put the bike on the rack, right? Or whatever you were referring
Yeah.
to, so that
Right.
it's authentically anyway, I'm gonna let
Yeah.
you kind of speak to that. Just
Yeah.
you riff
Yeah.
on that one.
It's funny. Corey likes to call that outdoor curious. Brands that are outdoor curious. So if you have, let's just say a car company, that's an easy one. Because there's so many, off-road vehicles and they like to build like a really cool story. It's like, oh, we're going to rappel off the trailer hitch, or we're going to go and actually get out and have an adventure, and our vehicle allow that to happen because it's off-road capable, whatever it is. You could tell if it wasn't an outdoor brand that did it. Agency that did that shoot. It's got a different look and feel. And I feel, and a lot of times it comes off as kind of disingenuous if it's a little too polished, honestly, because you can make really cinematic, beautiful films, mini commercials, right? And it could still be gritty and have all the elements that are going to appeal to that person that really wants to jump in that Subaru or that Tacoma, because they're going to go and get mud on it and they're going to do it right. They're not doing donuts in the parking lot. They're throwing gear in the back. Their coffee is going to spill on their lap and they're just going to head to Moab and they're going to climb in the desert, right? So those are things that wouldn't be necessarily an outdoor brand that we're shooting, but that would be outdoor adjacent, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That's cool. People are going to look at these, after listening to this, people are going to look at those commercials with a more curious eye.
I love picking them apart. I love dissecting them. It drives my wife nuts.
Oh, it'd be fun. It'd be so much fun doing an episode where we play like a commercial of a brand and just have you rip it.
Be like, why do they put like a Walmart bike? There's a Huffy on the back of that. Something.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun. Yeah. So talk about how brands that want to hire you can reach you, your website, whatever you want to mention, and any other reasons why somebody would want to reach out to you. I don't know. Floor's yours.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Like we love working with brands of all different sizes, right? So there's a lot of brands that are just starting out that really need to fill the coffers, as it were, with marketing assets. And I love working with small brands because you get to be on the ground floor and really be part of their creative and as they discover what they really need, and we can walk them through it. But, obviously we work with brands of all sizes, so small to large. Larger brands are great too, because then you just get your marching orders and it's just like, here's what we need. Come back in 2 weeks, which is pretty sweet. But the best way to get a hold of us, like hop on our website. If you like what you see, it's fieldborncreative.com. Pretty easy. There's a way to get a hold of us there in the About Us tab. But yeah, take a look through some of the work that we've done. And I think like worst case scenario, you're going to be entertained by some of the films that we've made along the way.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Well, if anybody wants to meet you, Dan, Denver, Colorado, May 15th and 16th, they can go to the HikeExpoColorado.com. Man, this was great. This is so much fun. I loved how
likewise, Marcus. It's such a cool opportunity to be able to chat with you here, man.
Yeah,
so I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, hey, I'll look forward to meting you, my friend.
Yeah, in person. See you in May.
Yeah. Okay, right, sounds good. All right, my friend. Take care.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye. That concludes this episode of the HikeStrong Podcast. I'm committed to keeping all of the episodes for free. All I ask is that you subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. And don't forget to share this podcast with your friends. My goal is to build a vast community of hikers with the confidence to crush any local or global trail. I hope you will join me in this endeavor. So until next time, train, hike, repeat, and as always, I'm here to support you every step of the way. When I was researching you, I put a solid 5-6 hours into just really thinking about what we were going to do.
Yeah.
And I went to your website. I needed just a little more depth. Mm-hmm. And I saw that after really reading and thinking about how I wanted to frame this. And I saw that and I'm like, okay. I'm like, to me, now I look at you very differently because I looked at it like the different angles and it just was stunning. And I'm like,
Wow. Nice.
okay, now I feel, I feel like, I don't know how to put it, but it just really helped me like just see that. And now I'm hoping that people will go to your site and after listening to that, look at that and it'll give them just a totally more in-depth perspective. And I don't think they'll ever look at these things the same. I really don't.
Yeah, it's always interesting to hear like when you talk to people about how a shoot happens. Like they don't think about, all there is behind it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's really, you're just like, yo, you just see the shot. I could do that with this, right? No.
That reminds me of a conversation I was having with a guy who, gosh, I'd remember these things because they were guests of mine, but we were talking about ultralight backpacking and he is an editor at a couple, I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to botch it. I'd rather just not say it. And he said that people walk on trails, but they don't see what goes into building them. So for example, you might have like, you might put something in for erosion and it might be a rock.
Yeah.
That might be, I don't know, I'm totally riffing here. Maybe it's like 2 feet high, right?
Right.
But what it took to get that rock there and then bury it and all you're seeing is just a little part of it and people zip over it, but it took a week.
It took a week
to build that little section.
She used to be a trail builder in Boulder for mountain bike trails and she worked for the city and like the amount of work of just log moving alone, like moving like a down Ponderosa or regrading something or adding rocks, building retaining walls. It is hard work, man. It is crazy. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So there's the analogy. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Same thing. That's what goes back. That's what goes into your work. So I think people have a different appreciation for it. So
well, cool.
Anyway,
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about it, man. Like really, really thank you.